Good evening and welcome to the Tibet Center.
Good evening.
We shall start by reciting the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West, which you'll find in the FAQ section down below. Okay. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and make it spontaneously happen just as we have hoped. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors in consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge, and since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed. Tadyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Bodhisattva. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering, and the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the word of the Blessed One. We generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, so let's recite a rosary of Om Mani Padme Hums. Oh, did he bring you a... So, try to think of wishing to remove the suffering of all sentient beings. So it's a wish to remove the suffering of all sentient beings. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Oh. So, we generated bodhicitta, inspired by wisdom and compassion. Today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that's bodhicitta. So we were having a discussion about bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is a vow that we take over and over. The vow is to work towards the attainment of full enlightenment, of Buddhahood, in order to most effectively help others. And it's a vow that we take not for the rest of this life or for today, but it's a vow that we take until we attain enlightenment. So the goal, we take the vow to attain the goal, and once we've taken the vow, we should work towards maintaining that commitment in such a way that it will carry us from life to life, working towards that attainment. We take the vow over and over. We break it, we commit selfish behavior that goes against the vow, but we're working towards maintaining the habit to continue in such a way that we will actually continue from life to life. The more we commit to this, the more we immerse ourselves in the spirit of the vow by taking it over and over, thinking about it, learning more about the vow and the actions that are to be engaged in once we've taken the vow, the more it helps us go from life to life. There are those who believe in Buddhism, who believe in the Mahayana path, who believe in the idea of striving to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, but don't believe in reincarnation. The difficulty with that is that we are not likely to attain enlightenment in this life. So this whole work towards attaining something that we're not going to be able to attain within this lifetime becomes problematic. But there are different beliefs. Our belief is that the consciousness that we have, which is a stream of moments, each one being the cause of the next, that in order for that to exist, each moment has to be caused by a cause that is of the same nature as the effect. And the only thing that is of the same nature as a moment of consciousness would be a prior moment of consciousness in the same continuum. So that the moments of your consciousness, my consciousness could not be a cause for, even though they're both consciousness. It has to be within the same stream of consciousness. And if you analyze that, if you think about it, there can't be a first moment of consciousness, because that first moment of consciousness would need a cause of the same nature within the same continuum, and that would be a prior moment of consciousness, which would need a prior moment of consciousness, which would need and you can't point at a first, nor can you point at a last moment of consciousness. Consciousness evolves, and from being a consciousness within cyclic existence, eventually, upon recognizing the lack of any kind of inherently existent self, that consciousness becomes free of afflictions. And when it is free of afflictions, there's still the predisposition towards afflictions. When it is freed of even the predisposition towards afflictions, then that stream of consciousness has attained omniscience, full enlightenment. it still continues. Because that's when it starts to act in such a way that it benefits all sentient beings. But it continues. So, the taking of the Bodhisattva vow is really something that we do, not just reciting this verse, but with the idea that we are determining to work over lifetimes towards the attainment of that state where we can really benefit others. Okay.
How do we know that there isn't a last moment of consciousness in our life?
There is a last moment of consciousness in our life. I'm glad you put the "in our life" at the end of that.
How do we know that isn't our last moment of consciousness?
It is.
It is. It is.
What would be positive as positive?
Then there will be our next life's first moment of consciousness. There'll be the moments of consciousness in between, and then the next moment.
So there's one continuum.
Your one continuum. My one continuum. They're different one continuums.
But it seems like the logic for there being a prior moment, for the first moment of consciousness.
There's not a prior moment for the first moment of consciousness because there's no first moment of consciousness.
The first moment of consciousness in this life.
Okay.
So there's a reasoning why it can't be the first moment, right? It needs to be caused by consciousness of a similar type.
Yeah, but so the first moment of consciousness in this life would be the moment of conception. And then there's the moment before the moment of conception. And the moment before that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's that makes more sense to me
Then,
compared to if we say determining that when we die, a consciousness continuum seems like it could just cease.
but where did that first moment of consciousness come from?
Right. Came from, well, if it is caused by a previous moment of consciousness that's not in this life, it has to be caused by a previous moment that's in another life.
And that moment of consciousness is caused by?
Previous.
And so you're suggesting that at the death of this particular, that's it?
I guess you can say because if we posit that the first moment in this life is caused by a previous life, then the last moment of this life should also have a next moment in another life.
Or then there are these in-between places that they say we go. So, I mean, I'm just telling you what it says in the books. But we were discussing bodhicitta before. There are certain vows that we take for this life. The bodhisattva vow we don't take for this life. The bodhisattva vow, every time we take the bodhisattva vow, we are taking it, committing ourselves to working towards the attainment of enlightenment.
In all lives.
Towards the attainment of enlightenment.
Are there certain vows that only last for one lifetime?
Yeah. And even one day, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What about the, I'm sorry, this might not be relevant. What about the tantric vows?
I don't know the limit of the tantric vows. I don't know. I'm sorry I can't answer.
I'm just curious about whether that then would go on to other lifetimes.
I don't know. Do you know that? I don't know.
In the tantric vow has to have bodhicitta first, so that's the vow carrying everything.
No.
No bodhicitta, no experience of
That's
consciousness.
not a tantric vow, but that's a principle.
So,
Darren.
there was a paragraph on page 93 that I wanted to go to. And it sort of related, Ching, you made the very nice comment last week regarding taking the attitude that all the virtuous work that we are doing is due to the blessing of our teacher. And that was where we ended. And that was like an inspiration. And when we work at developing virtue and committing ourselves to a virtuous way of life, we can do so feeling that all that we are doing is due to the blessing of our teacher, of the Buddha, of Jesus, God, whatever. There are these ways of deriving inspiration from these beings, influences that are greater than us. And they're really helpful. I do think it's important for us to remember that we have to do the work. God helps those who help themselves. We have to, and I've had the extraordinary fortune to really be guided and pushed along by a patient teacher over many, many years, and know how important and to what degree my evolution was due to his keeping me on track. And so it's very important, a teacher. But we have to do the work. And I don't think that we can wait for a teacher to start doing the work. The teacher will appear as we do the work. The teacher will be the sort of manifestation of our efforts and keep us on track. So I think that our efforts, and we can attribute what we're, our progress to the teacher keeping us on track. These two things are really important. So then on page 93, in the middle, all the major challenges we face in the world call for an approach based on ethical awareness and inner values. Safeguarding the future is not just a matter of laws and government regulations, it also requires individual initiative. And that's very important. We have to make the effort. We need to change our way of thinking and to close the gap between perception and reality. For this reason, and in order to meet these challenges, education is crucial. And here, His Holiness is referring to the importance of education, educational institutions, schools, to teach children about ethical values, because as His Holiness goes on to say, in society today, our education systems were really created at a time when people went to church or went to mosque or went to temple or went to whatever. The religious establishments and a religious way of life was part of our society. Today it isn't. And so, given that the schools didn't have to really deal with that, schools were teaching us the techniques to manage and to do things. Today, His Holiness is saying, we really need to bring ethical values into the school system because people don't go to church or anything. We just had a salad at the corner place here, and the lady who was at the cash register said, "Oh, I'm really hungry. I haven't eaten all day." And I said, "Are you doing Ramadan?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Are you?" I said, "No." And then she made herself a big salad and she went and sat in the corner. So bringing these, let's say, religious traditions, religious habits, reminders into our lives, not just as adults, but as children, is really important. I think I mentioned here there was a Mind and Life conference in Dharamsala with His Holiness the Dalai Lama present and educators. And they were discussing, I've mentioned this, they were discussing secular ethics and integrating it into the school systems in Canada in particular. And someone was saying, how young, at what point should one start this? And one of the teachers was saying, well, it's good if you start in kindergarten. And someone else said, well, pre-kindergarten is pretty good. And then someone else said, well, it's good if, even when they're babies, that there's a sort of ethical atmosphere around. And then someone said, it's really good when you're pregnant to have that influence around. So it's that atmosphere is important all the time. So, His Holiness saying it also requires individual initiative. That's just the point that I wish to bring up. I don't know, does anyone want to say something on this?
Well, isn't this just parenting in general? If small children are fighting, then one child takes the other child's block, then the parental figure otherwise automatically says, no, you're not allowed to do that, you have to give that back. You don't do that. You have to share. This is just automatic, isn't it? That is creating this kind of ethical environment. In any family or group. Children question about sharing. Everybody has to get used to it. Yeah, you have to get used to it.
He's got only one child. How does it work with only one child?
Only one child? Does the child share?
She's not a child anymore, she's 29. It's kind of hard to work
But
out.
what about once upon a time?
We
Did
talk
she
about
get
this
into
really-
fights? Did you get called into school? Did you share?
Like, I don't think we got called into school then. What she thought.
And they all do though, but
I hope
this
she
is
did.
just the way of the world.
Unless we couldn't tell her not to, right?
Yes. This is just the way the world is.
And your children don't fight?
Bing, you have
I
an
don't
experience in this.
All
Bing's the
children
expert in
fight.
this field.
His children fight, and he's got to keep them.
He's got all those cats. Those are your
Cats.
children, and they fight, don't they?
Of course they do. But your children you break up fights all day long, I
Yes, she
guess.
knows.
Let's hear it for the schools.
And she's had lots of children.
So, now let us go to page 111.
111.
So His Holiness presents three types of ethics: the ethic of restraint, the ethic of virtue, and the ethic of altruism. We've been discussing the ethic of restraint, and His Holiness introduced these three techniques of mindfulness, awareness, and heedfulness that we have to make use of in order to remain in control of ourselves in our daily life. So the ethic of restraint is where you really develop the technique for holding yourself back from non or unethical behavior. Now we go to the ethic of virtue. If through mindfulness, awareness, and heedfulness we can manage to refrain from harming others in our everyday actions and words, we can start to give more serious attention to actively doing good, and this can be a source of great joy and inner confidence. We can benefit others through our actions by being warm and generous towards them, by being charitable, and by helping those in need. Therefore, when misfortune befalls others, or they make mistakes, rather than responding with ridicule or blame, we must reach out and help them. Benefiting others through our speech includes praising others, listening to their problems, and offering them advice and encouragement. So these are all sort of, one might say, obvious, but I think that His Holiness spells them out here. Or why do you think His Holiness is spelling them out here? That's.
It feels like he goes through the antidotes powerful against envy.
Well, these amplifying aspects of doing the right thing.
So in a purely secular way, he's introducing the whole idea of behaving. I don't know actually within the general public or within society, within life, to how much the whole idea of being told that we should act in these ways is taught today. I don't know. Again, no? You're saying no?
Well, I feel the same. I don't know how much it's taught, whereas it used to be. There are different ways of approaching different issues now than there were, say, when I was young. If you have a relative that has a substance problem, there's a different ethic and a different approach to helping than there was 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
So how do you help today that's
Well,
different?
there are programs that many years ago, two men that were involved with Vedanta started AA, and a lot of the principles for NA and AA and all the other A's that there are now came as a result of their study of Vedanta. So it's a different, somebody who does not have a family member who has this problem might respond in a traditional way, where someone who's having these extra issues might use another approach. So there are many, it's like a multifaceted thing now.
So I don't understand. AA was started by two Vedanta people.
No, by two alcoholics who studied Vedanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's the Collegiate Marble Church? Or
Yeah, Marble Collegiate on 25th Street, 5th Avenue.
I'm sorry, I didn't know what to
Marble Collegiate Church? What was the name of his?
Positive thing, Norman Vincent Peale.
Yeah, Norman Vincent Peale. Was he not involved?
say. I don't think so. I don't think initially.
Our positive
It
thing.
may be now. I mean, they may have all, or they may have all sort of evolved at the same time. I don't know. But these two particular, the most helpful of these were started by two men who were non-dualists. So it's a different approach. It's a different way of looking at things.
Yes, but my question was, a lot of what His Holiness is saying here is very commonsensical ways of treating other people. But he's saying it, and he's saying it at a time when I suppose he feels that it needs to be said, because it's important to put out there that it's not a question of, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, survival of the fittest. On the contrary, it's the qualities that we are meant to cultivate are ones where we care for and are trying to help others.
Yeah, I think somewhere in the history of the modern age, both from what was culturally more common sense and in the feeling of that, somewhere along the line, people, whether they knew it or not, through just different technologies, small things, became more individualistic, where, let's say, like take the family unit that you used to have to be very connected to because Uncle Johnny might have the car business and you need to get a good deal on a car, and Aunt so-and-so could get you the job, or maybe your parents. Whereas now, like little things started happening where it's like, oh, well, I don't really need my family who has the farm, let's say, I actually take it back to food. We don't really need to go to them because there's the grocery store in town now. And then slowly but surely, like you see like the modern, now all the way to our phones now, and the youngest generations and stuff, they don't ask anyone anything. They're asking Google, they're asking this, and there's this like subtle reinforcement of individualism, and then like I have to get mine, I have to take care of me, and I don't need people. Where like for all of human history, we've had to kind of come together to make it all work. And you get the wood, I'll start the fire, he's gonna cook, they're gonna hunt, they're gonna get the water, and someone's tending the babies, making sure they're not getting eaten. And so I think it's interesting also with all the different generations that can notice these things and notice like, yeah, even like people, maybe they didn't agree about certain things, and some, ways of living were fostered and nurtured and like good. Some things that were happening back then weren't good either, but like, so I call them sliders, they're just like moving, like what the general theory of living is. But there was, it seems, on all historical accounts from every side, from every religion, people cared about each other more, and whether it was to get something or to not ruin an opportunity. Whereas now, there's a lot of underlying tone of like, I'll just do it myself. I'll just, you don't like me, I don't need you. You stay in New York City, I'll go 3 blocks away, there's another guy selling what you have, and it's becoming hurtful. And I think then that how it ties to your question, where we're at in the book and everything, is His Holiness is saying that to also remind us of these like small things like in our own mind, I think, of as we're getting frustrated and angry with people and different things, like those quick antidotes of like, oh wait, they're suffering. Because I even find in my own practice, like I forget that people are suffering. Other people are suffering. Like, if my mind is mindful and remembers that first, when people are acting poorly towards me, I'm a totally different person engaging with that being and that, that whole situation. Whereas, I just think that's probably one of his easy, simple ways of like saying, like, instead of saying, why did you do this to me? It's like, what's wrong with you? Like, how can I help you? And I do believe, even though it's before my time, that there was a time where people would stop and pause and think like, that was very bizarre. What's going on with that person? And trying to either distance themselves or something. I don't think that everyone was trying to help, but there was a pause there that doesn't seem to exist with a lot of these young people, probably including my own generation.
So who was your uncle who's got cars? We need...
In my example, I use an Uncle Johnny.
Uncle Johnny. Darren?
Well, what are the old joke and your uncle's Bob or something?
The thing is to go to a device where you used to go to a person, and that's very alienating.
Right.
We need Uncle Johnny.
An answer, but it can't give you the warmth and the extrasensory perspective. You wind up, what's his name? The medic, the nerd that started Facebook. Zuckerberg, something missing with him. It's very sad. He's bright, he's smart, he's a good citizen. there's something not there. It's like cold. I mean, I don't know, what did Confucius say about this? About the need for a warmth, for personal. He's very much in the family and the harmony of the society, so he must have some advice. Because like he said, I don't need you, I got something that gives me the answer, I can go to the other guy. That's a prevalent attitude today, and it's causing a lot of psychological problems.
Yeah, I feel there's a general lack of empathy, and that
I
keeps
think you're right.
that keeps growing. And then there's
You're right.
there's things I remember being, because I'm 33, so and I'm like before internet a little bit, just enough to know, as more of you know than me. But like even if you dislike someone, they might have had a skill or service that you needed to get along with, and so like there was.
Yeah.
And I can remember in my own self in times where it was like there really wasn't anyone else to go to. So like you kind of had to either get on or if you could. And I feel like that a lot of that gets lost now.
You think you don't need it for survival, but there's another element that was there, even though you put up with people to get along and survive, but there was another element there.
It's like they're a little character, they're not so bad, and there's a lot of
Right, because nobody is
coming together.
on the digital area, everything is this or that. There's no
If you don't like
constantly
it, turn it off.
changing, winking, changing.
And so, in any case, His Holiness often says, just smile to people.
That's right.
And that mere act of smiling brings them happiness. And to remind us that we can actually change the dynamic of the situation by,
Can actually change.
we can actually
Someone
change.
was mentioning Confucius.
Yeah.
Confucius does have like a phrase. It says, whatever you don't like people to treat you, don't treat people that way. When you want when you want people to treat you, you treat that way to people, you know. So when you don't like, then don't treat people that way. So that's one thing. And I think, and also like we act like we act in our living daily life, right? It's like example of people see you, you know, they'll see you and then they'll follow you. You don't have to talk. You just do what you're supposed to do and they'll follow. Like you don't have to tell them that that's wrong. You just do it.
Wordless communication. Yeah.
Actions speak louder.
Exactly.
Actions speak louder than words.
Go ahead.
It's like we have a relative, like she's born here in a younger generation than us, right? So there's a lot of like ethics, virtues that is not click in their mind. It's not that she's not good, she's not nice, but then it's not click in them, right? So we had to do it in front of her, and then she'll pick up.
So this is very interesting to me because everything that everyone has said demonstrates that this simple advice is really relevant today.
And it's so different because of the way society is now. Otherwise, it's never.
No, what you were saying before about how it used to be that the church pervaded society, the culture, the upper classes, the schools, etc. I went to convents when I was little, etc. That's gone. But also now, every society is very mixed. You have all different cultures, different religions, and that's what I loved about His Holiness's teaching secular ethics. Was that you couldn't say no, that's Jewish, no, that's Muslim, no, that's Catholic. But not so long ago, you had. I was just looking Norman Vincent Peale. He was against Kennedy because he's a Catholic. That's the 60s.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very important.
But he was
secular.
for the power of positive thinking.
Yeah. But he didn't see the conflict, did he?
So to help us bring benefit to others through our words and actions, it is useful to cultivate an attitude of sympathetic joy in others' achievements and good fortune. This attitude is a powerful antidote against envy. So against our envy, if we enthusiastically praise others, that diminishes our envy. which is not only a source of unnecessary suffering on the individual level, but also an obstacle to our ability to reach out and engage with others. Tibetan teachers often say that such sympathetic joy is the least costly way of promoting one's own virtues. So, what do you have to say about that? The idea that praising others is the antidote to envy, I think, is really wonderful. Envy is something that it can bubble up very easily. But if we preempt it by praising, by showing admiration for the person, we actually derive a joy from that, and the envy evaporates.
There's no room for it. You're pushing out a positive attitude.
Can you give an example of that? Like,
Well, if I envied your ability to speak Chinese, I really envied your knowledge of Confucius. I could really develop like a jealous something in my heart. If I said, how wonderful, your knowledge is, I admire it, and your Chinese is really good. All that has gone.
Your Chinese is terrible.
Like that. If you admire someone, if you say that's really good, the way.
And then maybe they'll share it with you.
Yeah, isn't mine? Yes. Fishing for compliments, it's called. Yeah.
I think it creates a +2 instead of a -1 sort of scenario,
Yeah.
because then you are actually getting closer, ever so slightly, but to like these more enlightened ideas, like we just read the Lotus Sutra, right? And you're getting closer because now you don't. By envying, that means you desire the thing. So if you don't envy it, right, you're getting closer. It's a small, gradation, but it's there, and you have joy. So that's a +2 versus envy. Well, let's tag it easy for -1, because then you're stuck in desire. You're getting harder, resistant, and I think that's really helpful because he's also then subtly pushing us towards, like, you don't really need that thing you're envious about anyway. But maybe we're not always ready to hear and look at that. So then it's like, okay, well, hang out and enjoy for a little while. That's a much better emotion than everything on this other side. Because envy's not doesn't often, very, very slightly, will only push you to do something great. And was it great for you or great for humanity? And that could be a whole other night's discussion. But
Also, two people are happy.
yeah.
Instead of one person upset, two people are happy. The one you
Yes,
praise.
and the people you praise, it's so interesting when you praise, the delight people feel and just that, igniting
+3.
that.
You brought them joy.
Are we heightening their ego?
Not something as basic as knowing.
Don't worry about it. You're bringing them joy.
Yeah.
Which kind of joy?
Praise Trump, see what happens.
You'll get a job.
It's great, we love you, Trump.
So we go on to ethical altruism. Now, this ethical virtue is the first step in this sort of positive, proactive, virtuous. And then ethical altruism is a genuinely selfless dedication of one's actions and words to the benefit of others. All the world's religious traditions recognize this as the highest form of ethical practice. And in many, it seems as the main avenue to liberation or to unity with God. But though a complete selfless dedication to others is the highest form of ethical practice, this does not mean that altruism cannot be undertaken by anyone. In fact, many people in caring professions such as social work and healthcare, and also those in teaching, are involved in the pursuit of this third level of ethics. Such professions, which bring direct benefit to the lives of so many, are truly noble. Yet there are countless other ways in which ordinary people can and do lead lives which benefit others. What is required is simply that we make serving others a priority. And I think that serving others as a priority doesn't necessarily have to be physically serving others. It can just be thinking about others. It can just be something that we do from our delight in what they're doing. Tony used to joke that when I went to become a monk, he delighted in the fact that I was going to become a monk. So he got a lot of the good karma of becoming a monk without having to do any of the work.
But I rejoice.
Let's continually remind. 40 years now, a monk. I admire that. Why don't we all admire?
Oh, I admire.
Well, we watch movies here and hang out.
So it's truly a wonderful technique.
It is.
You can lie on your bed and say, how wonderful
That's
that so
what
and
Rinpoche
so.
said about a famous female yogi. He said, I know a practice you could do lying down, admiring others' deeds.
Yes.
So very
Yeah,
nice.
they say it's very karmically,
Yeah.
you acquire.
You get 50% of the good karma.
But it's true, because you make it. You're sitting there
That's
making
right.
a good job.
You're practicing your mind just as if you did it.
And if you really think well, you can get 60%. You can boost the percentage.
Well, yeah, if you have a calm, abiding mind, then you can.
Just one day, sir, it says, sir, I found the other day a note by an old nun, you probably remember, Ling Rinpoche's, that nun that lived with old Ling Rinpoche, just below the house, old French woman. Anyway.
Yes, the French
One
woman.
day, she told me, or I found it written down, it's not about helping others, it's about serving others. And once or twice I saw it and felt glad. And then one day it hit me, yes. Because if you sit there thinking, well, I'm going to help Tony, I might try to make him do something that he is not good for him, or doesn't want, and it's more like, I'm going to help Tony. Whereas if Tony says, please do this, I'm serving.
Tony never says, please do this.
No, but if you did. Or if you dropped something that I picked up. See what I mean? Instead of the I planning and it being a self-related thing, to just serve others.
But this other technique of lying back and just delighting, no, really, it's something to think about. If you sit, if you really think about the good things that are being done, and you delight in them, you think of them, you remember them, and you think how wonderful. It's that makes you a happier person. No effort, no. So, there are many ways in which we can serve others or benefit from thoughts of others. An important part of serving others is using discernment to assess the likely consequences of our own actions. Then, by being heedful, mindful, and attentive in our everyday lives, we will begin to gain mastery over our actions and words. This is the very foundation of freedom. Now, freedom here is, like we were talking about in our last New Jersey class, mastery over our actions. That's what freedom is. This is the very foundation of freedom, and it is through gaining such self-mastery and using it to ensure that our actions are non-harmful at every level that we can start to actively work for the benefit of others.
112.
112.
Okay.
Can you read the last sentence again?
So maybe I'll read the last paragraph. An important part of serving others is using discernment to assess the likely consequences of our actions. Then, by heedful, mindful, and by being heedful, mindful, and attentive in our everyday lives, we will begin to gain mastery over our actions and words. So what we're working towards is developing mastery over our action. Engaging in virtuous actions and words. This is the very foundation of freedom. And it is through gaining such self-mastery and using it to ensure that our actions are non-harmful at every level that we can start to actively work for the benefit of others. So we develop the ability to really work for the benefit of others by developing a mastery over our actions of body, speech, and mind.
How is that connected with freedom?
That developing mastery over your emotions or your motivations or whatever, that's what is being presented as freedom. We are no longer under the control of afflictions. We are master. We are able to act in a selfless, generous way. So work towards mastering your thoughts. And this is all on the level of thoughts. That's why, rejoicing in others' virtues is a thought action. And really mastering that technique provides a certain freedom from the attachment, envy, jealousy, all those things that afflict us, that those are the things that we want to develop freedom from, mastery over.
Although it seems like you have some freedom there, and then along with that, some actual ability to help people, then there's so much need, and it's almost like you might become less free.
So you work towards becoming a Buddha so that you can really, one step at a time. Okay, it seems to be 8 o'clock.
Any names there?
Oh, I have two. One named Lori Frank. Oh, sorry.
Lori Frank?
Wait till I write it down.
Hello.
Yes, Lori Frank and Susan Casters.
We're being asked to pray for Lori Frank and
Yes, and Susan Casters. Casterus.
Susan Castor.
Like Asterisk.
All right, we will read the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not staying by the realm of desire. He is not staying by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river.
He is perfected in
all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavat, who rise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent, its words are excellent, it is uncorrupted, it is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma which is taught by the Bhagavad is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration and adroit bombs. They are worthy of receiving prostrations. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. We'll read the 8 verses on training the mind. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold my others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I have benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness, directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering among others. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the state of the worldly concerns. and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. The prayer for a swift return of Ratachunga Rinpoche. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Losang Tubang Doje Chan. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast ways of aspirational prayers. Lord, speak to the victor Losang's teachings, spreading them to the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening, yet you will withdraw the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the Bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till sickness ends, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by Buddhas, Chitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings, and wish-fulfilling jewel. Return as the glory of Losang Tante. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala Karma Yama Sri Mati Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. Thank you. So on Wednesday we will have a class in New Jersey, 502 North Ridgewood Road in South Orange, New Jersey. And then on Saturday at 1 o'clock we will have a recitation of the Taras, White Tara Sadhana and the prayer of the Green Tara, which everyone is welcome to. Thank you.